Nam yo ho renge kyo. 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 Wagwan, my people. Alright, cool. Let me get my pillow. I hope you're all cozy and I hope you're all warm. I'm loving that jumper, Mark. I've got something similar right on the floor if I need it. I've got my hot water bottle. So, wagwan everyone on Instagram. Thank you for being here. So, this is our last session. I actually feel a little emotional about it because this has kept me grounded. And seeing the actual proof of the people on this call has just reinstalled a deeper layer of faith for me. We started this on the 25th of October and it's January the 10th now. So I'm just honored to see some consistent faces from the very start. You know, some of you on this Zoom right now have been with me every single week and it means the world to me. It means the world because currently right now I'm a nomad and I'm moving around the UK so much that I can't contribute to Buddhism how I would if I was in a district. So this is me doing what I can to share the law in my own organic way, and it just means the world that people are coming and trust me actually enough to listen to what we've got to say. So that being said, Ryan's not with us today. He's in Thailand living his life with his girlfriend, so he's here in spirit. And just Ryan, when you see this, thank you, King, for all of your support. Charlene, beautiful to see you. Layla, Heidi, Kate, Mark, and beautiful Clea. We are going to jump straight into the last chapter. And this chapter, I'm going to read almost all of it, okay? It's a heavy chapter. It's about death. But in order to truly be a Buddhist, we need to understand death because it's the most inevitable thing that's going to happen to us. And any faith or philosophy that puts the fear of God into you because of death is happening, for me, it isn't a philosophy I want to follow. I want to follow a philosophy that embraces death, understands death, so therefore I can live my life to the fullest with no fear. I'm sure a lot of you know, man, they've used death in the Babylon system to control us and to make us petrified and to live a more submissive life instead of the most incredible expressive life, you know. To have eternity in 1 hour is everything, you know, for me. So let's jump straight in, and we are on page, I'm going to share the screen though for anyone that doesn't have it, but we are on page 179 roughly. Let me have a look now. Everyone on the call, are you cool though? Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Yeah, all right, amazing. And then we're gonna finish the chapter with putting it all into practice. It's the 9th chapter, I think, or the 8th chapter, but it's only about a page and a long half. And if anyone would love to just speak at the end, I would love that, and no worries if not. So yeah, let me jump straight into this. Beautiful. Clear, can you see that? Okay, cool. I'm just going to move this and start reading. So, When we come to the Buddhist view of death, we tend to think immediately of reincarnation, of being reborn as someone else, richer and better looking, we hope, or perhaps coming back as an animal or even as an insect, depending on how virtuous or vile we have been in this life. This is a popular view, but it is almost a cartoon version of Buddhist thought. The followers of Nichiren, numbering more than 12 million worldwide, seldom, if ever, sit around discussing their past lives. By the way, there's only about 19,000 of them, 12 million, in the UK. Albion is the real name for the UK. So we're still quite rare. And this is why it's such a profound thing to share this with you, because it's only going to grow for the people that resonate with true Buddhism. Buddhism is reason, and the practice of Buddhism requires no outrageous leaps of faith. Logically, no one can know what happens after death, because no one comes back to tell us about it. So the subject of reincarnation remains in the realm of the mystical, that which, at this point, in the development of human knowledge and science, cannot be fully understood or explained. It is important, therefore, to emphasize that it is not necessary to believe in reincarnation to begin a Buddhist practice. While the specific details of rebirth, in what form and when, are ultimately unknowable, the Buddhism described in this book stresses the importance of seeing the big picture, discovering the eternity of life within oneself. In this Buddhism, the challenge presented by the issue of death is to find the most valuable way to live. Since we all must die eventually, what is the point of living? If we have lived before, why can't we remember our past life? If life is eternal, in what form we will continue to exist beyond our death? Buddhism answers these important questions in a way that is at least capable of erasing the fear of death and perhaps even allow confidence in the face of it. Buddhism started by addressing the issue of human suffering. However, Buddhism does not talk about suffering to darken our hearts. Rather, it addresses this difficult issue to enlighten us. The primary subject Shakyamuni Buddha considered were the four universal sufferings, i.e. day-to-day existence, i.e. the suffering of birth, which is the day-to-day existence, old age, sickness and death. So birth, old age, sickness and death. I'm sure you've all heard of these four things. No human being is exempt from these sources of pain. It can be said that the last three sufferings are essentially about the ultimate sufferings of life. As Daisaku Akita writes, it is only man who becomes conscious of his death long before dying, and it is only he who has the privilege of living with this awareness. All other beings are equally mortal, but they come to their death with only the briefest awareness of this reality. In this respect, man is endowed with a special prerogative for apprehending his own death, and because of that, it can paralyze him with fear and worry. No living thing can escape death. Death can cast a gloomy shadow over the human heart, often reminding us of the finite nature of existence. However unlimited our wealth or fame may be, no matter how enduring our love or relationships, the reality of our eventual demise can undermine our sense of well-being. For many, the fear of death is deep-seated. It can weaken the foundations of our lives, cause worries, sufferings, and torment. At the same time, if the basis of our lives is shaky, various spiritual and emotional problems can become manifest. Here we see a vicious cycle in the mind and heart caused by the apprehensions of death. Nichiren understood that our fear of death profoundly affects our health and happiness. He wrote, we should first learn about the issue of dying and then study all other affairs. And that's so important. Shakyamuni's quest for enlightenment is said to have been motivated by a desire to find a solution to the four fundamental sufferings, and more specifically, by a desire to overcome the fear of death. And it was the problem of death, how to cope with it and transcend it, that inspired the creation of many other religious and philosophical systems. Confrontation with death has been called the mother of philosophy. The German existentialist Martin Heidegger terms human existence itself a being unto death. Since man carries within him the knowledge of his impending demise from an early age, hence the Buddhist saying, the cause of death is not disease, but birth. It might seem preferable not to think about death, except perhaps at the very end of your life. Yet now, due to advances in medical science, the time people spend fighting face-to-face against death has lengthened considerably. The agony and uncertainty stretch out for months, even years. This has brought with it corresponding societal re-evaluation of death in medical and ethical terms, with social effects ranging from the hospice movement to the debate over voluntary euthanasia. Yet for all our medical advances, we still cannot agree when life begins or ends. Much of the uncertainty and instability we see in contemporary society can be traced to a lack of understanding about death. The feeling that our lives are finite, that the moment of physical death means with absolute finality the end of our existence, gives rise to a kind of desperate urgency in life. When you feel that you only live once, there is a temptation to cram as many pleasures and sensations into the limited time available to you. And can I just say, I don't know if you remember anyone, years ago, Drake, one of the biggest hip-hop artists in the world, he came out with this saying, YOLO, you only live once, yeah? That's a psyop. It's designed to make us trash our life away, try and force as many things into an instant moment instead of slowly pursuing life, how it would naturally go. These occultists are very smart and they know what they're doing. Anyway, let me carry on. Where was I? When you feel that you only live once, there is a temptation to cram as many pleasures and sensations into the limited time available to you. As the saying goes, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. In today's time, starved society, every imaginable gadget and service has been dreamed up to save precious seconds of time so that we can enjoy a few more fun-filled moments of leisure. A grim workaholism by day often gives way to a full-blown hedonism after hours. It is no surprise that the pursuit of pleasure has come to take a frantic quality, and the drive to acquire material wealth has become a virtual obsession. Too often, life becomes subordinated to careerism and the drive for success. However, at the moment of death, few people look back over their lives and say, I should have spent more time in the office. From the standpoint of a society firmly grounded in materialism, death is the final denial of all our material attributes, so we fear it inordinately, just as we fear the loss of our material possessions during our lifetime. As a result, we escape into secularism, making no attempt to examine the inner life of the mind or the nature of death, living life only for the moment. What is death? What becomes of us after we die? Failing to pursue these questions is like spending our student years never considering what to do after graduation. Without coming to terms with death, we cannot establish a strong direction in life. Pursuing these issues brings real stability and depth to our lives. Is there a view of death and what lies beyond that contains a spiritual dimension but does not contradict the known scientific laws of the universe? Indeed, there is. Buddhism puts forth a naturalistic as opposed to a supernaturalistic view of death. Let's explain what we mean by this. The Buddhist view of life and death. For many people, death signifies the mere absence of life. In this view, life is perceived as all that is good, that which embodies fullness and light. Death is perceived as all that is bad, all that connotes emptiness and darkness. This negative perception of death has influenced human existence since the dawn of history, but this notion is a simplistic, childlike view of the reality of death, especially when you consider death in terms of the cycle of creation and extinction that governs the natural world, even the universe itself. As we have seen, Buddhism teaches with great specificity the intimate and inseparable relationship between the microcosm of the individual human being and the macrocosm of the universe. All universal phenomena are contained in a single moment of life, in the depth of our life, and each moment of life vibrates in rhythm with all phenomena in the universe. This is not an insight limited to the followers of Nichiren or any other school of philosophy. In this connection, the words of the poet William Blake strike a Buddhist chord. I love this poem so much. To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. To have such perceptions is truly to live in the moment, as opposed to for the moment. It is the difference between the material and the eternal. Buddhism views our life in the context of the macrocosm, the life of the universe, which has existed throughout eternity, or at least from the unimaginably distant past. Likewise, our lives, which are one of the universe, have always existed in one form or another, following an unending cycle of birth and death, decline and renewal, subject to the physical laws of the universe. According to the Buddha's teachings, life, like energy, can never be created nor destroyed, and what happens to be death is merely the process of decline and renewal that governs all things. Thus, Buddhist philosophy anticipates by nearly 3,000 years the law of conservation of energy and matter, which states that neither energy nor matter are ever lost, but merely converted into different forms. For example, the electrical energy that passes through a light bulb is converted into heat and light. Nichiren taught that life and death are alternating aspects of our real selves, as expressed by the law Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. He wrote, Myoho represents death, and Ho, life. Living beings that pass through the two phases of life and death are the entities of the 10 worlds, or the entities of Myoho Renge Kyo. No phenomena, either heaven or earth, yin or yang, the sun or the moon, the 5 planets, bracket, in the 13th century only Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn had been discovered, or any of the worlds from hell to Buddhahood are free from the 2 phases of life and death. Life and death are simply the 2 functions of Myoho Renge Kyo. In other words, all things that physically manifest themselves in life withdraw into a state of latency upon their extinction or death. Buddhism distinguishes between physical reality and a state of latency where life continues to exist unseen. This latency, a state of neither existence nor non-existence, can be confusing to Westerners. To us, something either exists or it does not. But think of a cherry blossom in winter. While the flower is not visible, it is there, dormant, waiting to bloom when the right conditions, spring, present themselves. The same is true for our lives. When the physical body ceases to function, our lives enter a new phase, a period of dormancy, followed by rebirth. As Daisaku Ikeda wrote, according to the Buddhist view, life is eternal. It is believed to undergo successive incarnations, so that death is thought to be not so much a cessation of an existence as the beginning of a new one. For Buddhists, the phenomena of transmigration is self-evident, as indeed it was in the ancient Indians, who gave it the Sanskrit name samsara. The fundamental premise of Buddhism is that life is eternal and that individual living beings undergo a continual cycle of birth and death. Some of the findings of recent scientific research in the fields of both medicine and parapsychology tend to support the view. These researches include studies of near-death experience and past life experiences. While the revival of a philosophical perspective oriented towards eternal life may seem idealistic or unscientific, a mere emotional blam to our existential dread, in truth, it is the most reasonable, realistic way to look at the matter. Without death, there would be no life. Jose Toda, who's my favourite person ever, the second president of the Soka Gakkai, once wrote, nothing would be more fearful than not to die. It would be one thing if there were only human beings. But if all living beings were to not die, the consequences would be calamitous. Suppose that cats and dogs and mice and even octopuses were all not to die. This would create great problems. If nothing were to die, then what would happen? Even if someone or something were beaten or killed or run over by a train or deprived of food, it would not die. The results would be pandemonium. Death is necessary. Because we die, we can appreciate the wonder of life. We can savour the great joy of being alive. Nichiren grasped the profound concept of life and death as expressed by the Lotus Sutra, that both life and death are inherent in human life. He pointed out that people's view of life and death as separate phenomena lead to a belief either in eternalism, the idea that the soul exists forever, or annihilation, the idea that there is nothing beyond death. In Hamlet's famous words, the rest is silence. Both perspectives, Nichiren said, are deluded because they ignore the cycle of life and death permeating the universe. As he wrote, to hate life and death and try to separate oneself from them is delusion or partial enlightenment. To perceive life and death as essential is enlightenment or total realization. Now, when Nichiren and his disciples chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, they know that life and death are intrinsic workings of the fundamental essence. Being and non-being, birth and death, appearance and disappearance, worldly existence and future existence, all are essential and everlasting processes. It is by deeply understanding this sophisticated view that we can advance towards enlightenment and experience death with dignity. But the question remains, if life goes on, in what form does it continue? Since form implies shape or substance, and Buddhist teachings does not suggest that the physical self somehow survives and is reborn, another approach is needed. To fully understand death from a Buddhist perspective, we must delve in to what is called the ninth consciousness, the nine consciousnesses. So, the 9 levels of consciousness. The Buddhist theory of the 9 consciousnesses is a physiological system that has often been compared to the pioneering work of Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, who postulated a collective unconscious of memories common to all human beings. These memories come from the distant past and contain archetypal images that occur in all cultures and have been passed down from prehistoric times. Jung's idea of a collective unconscious is analogous to the 8th or alaya consciousness in Buddhist theory, which acts as a storehouse for memories collected by the first 7 consciousnesses and survives after death. According to the Buddhist analysis, the first 5 consciousnesses correspond to the 5 senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. The 6th consciousness integrates the perception of the 5 senses into coherent images and makes judgments about the external world. For example, take a rose petal. It is red, soft, and fragrant. Our 6th consciousness compiles these sensory data and comes up with the idea of a rose as opposed to, say, a strawberry. Together, the first 6 consciousnesses form the conscious mind. In contrast to the first 6 consciousnesses, which deal with the external world, the 7th or mano consciousness does not rely directly on the senses. It discerns the inner world. From the 7th consciousness comes the considered judgment. A rose is quite beautiful. More importantly, however, attachment to the self characterized the mano consciousness. In terms of Freudian psychology, it might be considered similar to the ego. It was through this grasp of the 7th consciousness that the French philosopher René Descartes could formulate the famous proof of his own existence. I think, therefore I am. The 8th level, the alaya consciousness, is a step deeper than the mano consciousness. All the functions of our 6 senses as reactions to outer stimulation and our judgment about them, even our most fleeting impressions, are stored and recorded in the 8th consciousness. This storehouse is roughly comparable to memory, but it is also more than that. Buddhism suggested that the 8th consciousness remembers and stores not only everything we have experienced in this life, including all the causes we have made through thought, word, and action, but also everything we have experienced in the remote past. Buddhism teaches that there is no such thing as a soul or spirit that governs one body and mind and continues to exist as an entity floating in the air after death. Christianity and other Western religions hold that a person lives only once, and actions taken during this limited span determine forever the fate of an eternal soul. It is as if life were a book that is read through only once. In the Buddhist view, to use the same metaphor, life is like a page in a book. When one turns the page, a new one appears. Instead of an ethereal soul, Buddhism espouses the notion of a self, which continues to exist whether one is alive or deceased. The alaya consciousness may be thought of as the realm that interweaves all the causes and effects constituting the destiny of this individual self. When this life reappears in the phenomenal world, the karmic seeds in the alaya consciousness bloom once again, but in new conditions and in a new physical form. Oneself continues throughout eternity. Buddhism accepts this as fact. Whether dormant in death or manifest in living, it's the same life energy. Consider this. Whether you are 2, 17, 52, or 78 years old, you are the same person. Even though, as medical science tells us, nearly every cell in your body will have replaced itself during your lifespan, you are still you. Your personality may have changed radically. You may have changed careers, political persuasions, and so on. But there is something continuous that exists throughout the depths of your life. It is the essence of you. All the memories, habits, and karma stored in the alaya consciousness as time goes by form the individual self, or the framework of individual beings that repeat the cycle of birth and death. There is nothing static or irreversible about this karma or inherent consciousness. No matter what our karma, we can change it for the better using our free will. In other words, the Buddhist concept of karma is in no way what is ordinarily called fate or destiny. Some people labor under the illusion of fatalism, seeing only one aspect of karma, that the karma from one's path lives past lives is continued in one's present life. However, according to the law of causality, at each moment we create fresh karma. That's called Honen Myo in Buddhism. From this moment forward, we can always change anything. This means that at the current moment, also, of our own free will, we are creating a new life tendency and opening up the future. Nichiren said that in the eternal cycle of life and death, the law of cause and effect is an iron rule. With an awareness that we can find positive meaning in whatever happens in life, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is the most direct way to improve or change one's karma. When we recognize that the essential causes and conditions for our happiness lie within our own lives, we can summon the courage to find ourselves responsible for our suffering and assert every possible effort to change them and to create happiness. As we begin to understand that we are the creators of our own destiny, we find in ourselves a star of hope that illuminates every aspect of existence. After death, however, in this new existence, despite having our karmic memory intact, we will have no conscious memory of our previous lives. As the miscellaneous Amarga Sutra states, the karmic effects exist, but the person who caused them no longer. In effect, one is forced to drink the water of Lethe, the river that makes one forget the past in Greek mythology. As modern neuroscience has well established, a physical memory needs a physical brain. And the brain that remembers incidents of this life is different from the consciousness that registers the event of the life before. When the physical brain dies, so does its memories. The karmic memory that we call alaya, upon which is etched all the causes we have made, is different in kind. Sorry, I lost my sentence. It's different in kind from the brain. But the underlying self is the same. Just as no period of sleep, no matter how long and deep, can alter our identity, our karma lives on. The nature of that which is reborn has been the subject of endless futile discussions. When one candle is lighted from another, is the light from the second the same as the light from the first? But the details are not important in the quest for enlightenment. The theory of the nine consciousness is, after all, a theory. But it is an uncannily compelling one in the light of what is now known about the universe, human nature and psychology. According to this theory, the alaya consciousness, which functions as the basis of all emotional and spiritual functions, is in constant flux. Like a rushing torrent unceasingly undergoing transition and transformation. This dynamic state at the fundamental level of life maintains the unique characteristic of each individual life. When we die, our lives revert entirely to the realm of the alaya consciousness. Therefore, we don't see, we don't hear, we don't smell, we don't taste, and we don't feel by touching. One's consciousness goes beyond even the seventh consciousness and wholly into the alaya. The analogy between life and death, the big sleep, is compelling. A British author and Buddhist leader, Richard Corsten, wrote in his book, The Buddha in Daily Life, and by the way, I highly recommend that book, The Buddha in Daily Life. Richard Corsten, first ever general director of SGI UK, one of the greatest Buddhists to ever touch Europe. I never met him. He passed away, I think, before I was even born. But he says in this book, sleep, like death, is a fundamental and mysterious aspect of all life. We go to bed tired and wake refreshed. Buddhism teaches that we die when we are worn out, and our life entity is then reborn anew. Both sleep and death thus express the continual rhythm and energy of Myoho, the mystic law. The lesson here is clear. For when we are truly able to regard death as we regard sleep, as a period of rest and recuperation in our eternal lives, it will certainly hold no terror over us. Indeed, we can even look forward to it. We can look forward to a good night's sleep after a hard day's work, confident that our lives will make a fresh and vigorous start next time around. How beautiful is that? Especially in the West, so many philosophies making people petrified about sin, the devil, we're going to pour lava in your ear, there's going to be demons to eat you and your family if you don't do this, if you don't surrender your life to this guru in this life or to this book, you're going to hell. What a refreshing thing to realize. It's literally, scientifically, like sleep. And the causes that we make in this life, none of them are actually going to waste. Some of my best, strongest Buddhist leaders that have a lot of respect and see me, they truly see my spirit, they tell me, I pray you're my father when I come back. So that everything, I'm going to teach you everything, so that when I come back, you're ready to then carry on teaching me. And it's like that kind of profound respect and philosophy with your friends in Buddhism is incredible. So We're going to skip one page, guys. We're going to now go to page 198, to the ninth consciousness or Buddhahood. So, about 7 minutes left of this chapter, guys. The ninth consciousness or Buddhahood. It can be said that the reason Buddhist teachings can put death into perspective is that it is discovered the ultimate realm within one's life that is free from all karmic impurity. This is called the Amala consciousness or enlightenment. Amala here means absolute purity. It is a realm connected directly with the life of the universe, which is understood to be Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, the ultimate law of life and death. Nichiren also called this realm the palace of the ninth consciousness. Both life and death are natural expressions of human existence, and both are incorporated in the great universal life of Buddhahood that exists in the depths of our lives. By basing ourselves upon our Buddhahood, established through Buddhist practice in this lifetime, we experience death in this lifetime with dignity and with peace. Referring to the death of the father of a young believer, Nichiren wrote, "When he was alive, he was a Buddha in life, and now he is a Buddha in death. He is a Buddha in both life and death. This is what is meant by that most important doctrine called attaining Buddhahood in one's life present form." In this short passage, Nichiren teaches the principle that we can be happy eternally by attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. The ultimate message of the Lotus Sutra is that Buddhahood exists as a potential within everyone. And that is everyone, even the nuttiest paedophile, everyone, yeah, they have that potential. And to recognize that is quite profound. So, Buddhahood exists as a potential within everyone. Nichiren presents the way to reveal it from within and taught us that the way to solidify it in us all. Thus, if we have tapped into the ultimate depths of life, Buddhahood, while alive, the flow thus begun continues through death and on into the next life. Through practicing this teaching, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we can develop the wisdom and conviction to put death into perspective. By continually enlightening ourselves, we can also experience an unshakable confidence in the eternity of our lives. Furthermore, by practicing Nichiren's teachings, we can experience an upsurge of joy from within. And finally, since fearlessness is an aspect of Buddhahood, fear of death is something we can conquer. Only then can we focus on what we are supposed to be doing with the rest of our lives for the happiness of all humanity, thus fulfilling our mission in this life and in this world. In Unlocking the Mysteries of Birth and Death, Daisaku Akida writes, again, highly recommend that book, deep one. I think it's out of print though, but you might be able to find it somewhere. Nichiren gave concrete expression to the Amala consciousness, the fundamental reality of life. In the phase Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, he gave physical form to his enlightenment in the original cosmic life in the Gohonzon. By the way, just to show you, this is a mini Gohonzon. It's called a Omamori. I'm not going to open it because we don't open Gohonzons on cameras. But just to show you, my official one's like a big scroll. But because I travel so much, I've been very lucky to be given a very small one. So this is what we chant to, yeah? No statues of the Buddha. If you've been with me on this, you know what I'm talking about. We don't give our power out to no external deity. We align ourselves to the rhythm of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. We align ourselves to Christ consciousness. We align ourselves to Buddhahood. That's more powerful to me than the idea of an external guru or deity. And what's interesting, Krishna, Sai Baba, even parts of Christianity and Islamic teachings are all highlighted in the Gohonzon. They're all aspects of the Gohonzon. Like they don't have to be apart. Like I can still do my Sai Baba chanting with the Hindus if I want to, and I know it's nothing separate. As long for me as I understand, I understand it's all under the umbrella of the mystic law. So let me read that part again. Nichiren gave concrete expression to the Amala consciousness. So this consciousness that we're trying to tap into, yeah, the pure, unsullied consciousness that from what all we come, yeah, the richest billionaire, the most amazing Mother Teresa to the dirtiest paedophile, we all come though from that pure, that consciousness. So Nichiren gave concrete expression to the Amala consciousness, the fundamental reality of life, in the phrase Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and he gave physical form to this enlightenment, to the original cosmic life in the Gohonzon, the object of devotion. Thus opening, where are we? There we go. Thus opening a path whereby all people can achieve Buddhahood, manifesting the greater self that is latent within them. When we devote ourselves to the Gohonzon, we find joy and determination welling forth as we are brought face to face with the reality that our own existence are coexistence with the eternal life of the universe. When we devote ourselves to and base our lives on this reality, the Amala consciousness, all of the other 8 consciousness work to express the immense power and the infinite wisdom of the Buddha nature. So, last paragraph of this chapter, the right way of dying. As the law of cause and effect requires, we die the way we live. At the moment of death, our past causes show most plainly in our appearance. At that time, there is no way to conceal the truth about the life that has been lived. Therefore, to talk about what is an ideal way to die is really to talk about the ideal way to live. We carry out our Buddhist practice now so that we will not have to experience regret on our deathbed. The way in which we face the moment of death determines whether or not we have crowned our lives with fulfillment. Buddhism is a teaching that finds an absolute value within the life of each human being. In Buddhism, a person who has made his or her potential blossom fully, in a sense, a Buddha. A person who has done everything possible to fulfill his or her mission in this lifetime is also called a Buddha. Aikida wrote, "Death will come to each of us someday. We can die having fought hard for our belief and convictions, or we can die having failed to do so. Since the reality of death is the same in either case, isn't it far better that we set out on our journey towards the next existence in high spirits, with a bright smile on our face, knowing that in everything we did the very best, filling with the sense that that was truly an interesting life." I'm going to read that one more time, by the way, because this is why I live the way I live. This is why I speak my truth. This is why if I have to say something, every person don't want to talk to me anymore because they're triggered. I know I'm trying my damn hardest to reveal my light. And let me read that one more time. Death will come to each of us someday. We can die having fought hard for our beliefs and convictions, or we can die having failed to do so. Since the reality of death is the same in either case, isn't it far better that we set out on our journey towards the next existence in high spirits, with a bright smile on our face, knowing that in everything we did the very best we could, thrilling with the sense that that was truly an interesting life? So, from a Buddhist perspective, our ability to pass successfully through the dying process depends on our steady effort during life to accumulate good causes, to contribute to the happiness of others, and to strengthen the foundation of goodness and humanity in the depths of our lives. Having thus been a victor in life, we can win in death as well. This is the process of using the law of cause and effect to create ultimate value. Thus, we can see that death is more than the absence of life, that death, together with active life, is necessary for the formation of a larger, more essential whole. This great whole reflects the deeper continuity of life and death that we experience as individuals and express as culture. A central challenge for the new century will be to establish a culture based on an understanding of the relationship of life and death, and of life's essential eternity. Such an attitude does not disown death, but directly confronts and correctly positions it within the larger context of life. To die happily is difficult. And since death is the final settlement of account for one's life, that is when our true self comes to the fore. We practice Buddhism to live happily and to die happily. Buddhism guarantees that those who practice sincerely will approach death in a state of supreme fulfillment. Boom. So, my mum always says, for instance, like the people that have wronged her in her life and stuff, and are just living terrible lives right now. Like, she's just like, my mum's very wise. She's like, they don't understand life. Like, all right, I'll give you an example. My father, there's so much he could do for me and my brother. And he's living through his own traumas, right? But if he understood life, the eternity of life, if you knew that your karma is coming to you in your next life, if you knew that this is all following you, trust me, you're going to do everything you can in this life to make a change. Because I swear to God, it's just going to get worse in your next. And it's sad to see people playing out these patterns. It's sad to see people hurting people when they don't actually understand life truly. They don't understand the workings of life, and how actually when you're hurting someone, you're actually just hurting yourself. You know, there's a lot of people that have kind of like satanic views where they think it's just like, I'm better than you and I'm not connected to you, and so I'm just going to gather as much as I can and as much wealth as I can, and I'm going to be a billionaire and go on my private jet. but they're going to die just like I am. And it's the treasures of the heart that's important. That's why once I came back from India this year, I've wore basically 3 outfits. This t-shirt, which is my astrology t-shirt, is basically the only t-shirt I wear. I no longer care about materialistic things. I've been the guy that was walking next to Kanye West. I've had all of the girls and the money and experienced that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we shouldn't have materialistic things. When I get money, I'm going straight to Mercedes to get a G-Wag. But, yeah, the treasures of the heart are what's most important. It's the memories with the people that you love the most that are the most important. It's knowing that fucking Heidi and her son have a deeper connection. You know what I'm saying? It's knowing Kate is busting up things in her life. That these are the treasures of the heart that mean so much more to me. So before I go on to the last chapter, I would like to I'm going to let anyone unmute themselves and just to share, if you want anything that you would like, if anyone wants to just put their hand up or say something, if anyone's been experiencing anything in the last 2 months, please let me know. Perfect, Kate. Thank you.
I'm going to try and say this without coughing because I've got a really bad cough at the moment, so you'll have to excuse me if I start. But yeah, so I think I've said this to you before, but my story a few months ago was a story of trauma and lots of things that had happened to me. I was in an abusive relationship, you know, terrible things that's happened. Everybody has had terrible things happen to them, but I used to sit so much in my victimhood, and now it's not my story anymore. That's not my story. Like, that is something that happened almost to a different person.
Wow.
And it literally has been the last couple of months. Like, I got out of this relationship in 2019 and I sat in that victimhood for, you know, nearly 6 years of like, oh, woe is me, poor me, this happened to me, oh dear me, you know, and it's just gone. That story's gone and it's no longer there. And something that I've been really trying to focus on, and I did it today because, like the most of the UK, it's icy everywhere, and I had to drive in my car. I've got a little diddy car that is just going to go shooting across the ice. And I was just sat there going, normally I'd be like, oh God, this is really bad. Oh my God, what am I going to do? What if somebody else comes and they're going to hit me? And I was just sat there going, it's all right. The universe has got me.
Wow.
I'm okay. I'm safe. And it's so different when you change that narrative to like, oh, everything's going to be okay. And I'm sliding through life right now with, whatever is thrown at me, I will be okay. It's going to be okay. I'll manage it however I'll manage it. And yeah, there's, you know, life has massive challenges. We all know that. But instead of just sitting there going and sitting in wallowing in things that happen to us, rather than that, I'm just going to go, well, either what have I got to learn from it, or how am I going to deal with it without panicking and stressing myself out? So yeah, it's been massive for me. So thank you.
Wow, Kate, thank you so much, man. Wow. And yeah, I'm also going through massive challenges, but I have profound faith, and I know that I'm going to get through it. Like, and I'm going, and like you just said, it's like it's like removing the fear of like the unknown and just trusting. So like, yeah, someone could smash into your car. Yeah, it is icy, but you're here, you're alive, and no one did. And it's kind of like like you said, it's like it's a subtle frequency shift. But if you have that kind of faith that there's a bubble of protection around you because of your prayer, and also just trusting what will happen regardless. Yeah. That frequency shift, everything you do, every action, every conversation, every word you say is slightly different. It's coming from a higher place. It's not coming from like a lack or a small me or a victim. It's coming from like, I'm in control and I've got this relationship with the universe and I trust that whatever's going to happen is going to happen, you know? So that's just, yeah, thank you so much. And Kate,
and not trying to, I've always been obsessed with controlling everything. Like, I always try and control, like, even outcomes that I have not even the remote chance of controlling, but I always try and control it. And then the only person that suffers from trying to control is me. Like, wow. I can't control every outcome. So it's just like, I left the keys in my car. My car's old, so I have to put the key still in my car to open it. And I put it in there, and I walked off to go into the house, and I was like, oh, I better get my keys. And then I was like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if someone's going to take my car, they're going to take my car, but I very much doubt anybody's going to take my car. But like, and it's just, but just realizing that you can't control anything. Nothing, you can't control any of it. But apart from your thoughts and all of that kind of stuff, but you can't control what happens to you.
I was in a staying in a house in Wales. Actually, when I started this book study with you guys, and I was cat sitting in someone's house, but she didn't tell me that there was no lock on the front door at all. So I was in this entire house with no lock, and I come from the trap. I used to live in traps in the YMCA, and I come from them kind of circumstances where I had a Rambo knife and a baseball bat near the door and locks on the door. So for me, in this house, you know, I was lying there paro, man, and then I realized, wait, am I not a Buddhist? Haven't I chanted the mystic law? Like, haven't I chanted this morning? Like, blood clot, if someone's going to wake me up and rob the house, it's going to happen. But hopefully, I will have the instinct to wake up and react. And she had a daughter. And all I did is I used to put her little daughter's scooter across the door. So if someone like opened it, I would hear the scooter move or something. And I realized even that is just like, it's just silly. And so I stopped it and I just released it. And I realized how much, actually, a lot of that comes from trauma. I don't know why, for instance, Kate, you've had to control so many things, but maybe there was a time when you didn't have control in your life. And it's like, do you know what, Kate? That's not me no more. I'm not that brother in the trap no more that needs to be so scared. I was in Wales in the valleys. There was about 100 people in this town and everyone knew each other. You know, it was like one of them kind of like, no one even knew I was there. So, man, I resonate with everything you're saying. It's like just trusting your life now, trusting where you're supposed to be, and surrendering to anything. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to Layla and then Heidi, if that's okay. Layla, thank you for, you can unmute yourself if you want, sister.
Sorry, I'm not very good with technology and I'm not very good with speaking on camera as other people. But I said I would today, so yeah. But similar to it's Heidi that went before me, that said it coming from, you know, a bad relationship, feeling of needing to be in control. I have really bad anxiety and OCD, and that OCD is like a magical thinking. If I do this, then I'm controlling this uncontrollable outcome, which I know is uncontrollable. But I'll keep on doing these things, which exhausts me, and just it's not making me happy. It's just making my anxiety worse and just going around in circles. But I've been doing the chanting in the morning and the evening. As I need to build up the time frame. It's like I'm not 20 minutes, but I am going longer without realizing it. Do you know what I mean? Because I know it feels like not. It feels good. Do you know? And rather than thinking of having to pray a specific, like I want to pray for this to go right. I want to pray. It's just like it's encompassing everything. So
yes.
I don't have to. You know, like be careful what you wish for. Sometimes I get so held up on, okay, well, if I pray for this person, I make sure I, you know, touch on that. What about this outcome? But I'm just saying, do you know what? Whatever happens is meant to happen. That's just like letting go of it. Sorry, I get really nervous speaking on camera. But yeah, so that's it. When, especially with stuff with my son, like it's been really difficult lately with a lot of stuff going on. But even with him, I think he's seen a difference in me, that when he starts to get dysregulated and like sort of kicking off a bit, usually I would react to that and be like, don't do that. No, don't do that. You know, trying to control his emotions as well. And I'm just like, okay, go on then, you know, do that. And he's like, huh? So it's like, it's having it's like you say, like it's a reflection of your, it's like as I've been doing in the mirror, it's a reflection of what's going on inside you. So if you're being calm, then you're reflecting it back out. Wow. So I really appreciate it because it's already made a big difference. So I'm just seeing where it, you know, continuing with it, and I just need to be a bit more still and do it for longer periods of time, like the hour, like you said, and build that up. So yeah, but thank you.
Wow, Layla, you're incredible. And such like what you and Kate are saying is basically the same, you know. It's like you're taking control of your mental health, the stillness within you. And it's also like, I don't know how old your son is, but it's like letting them be their unique self.
Yeah.
We're not trying to control that at all, you know?
Yeah, he's a teenager, so you know his emotions are all over the place. Do you know what I mean? So you know, it's like let him be, let him do his thing. If he's angry, let him be angry. But if I'm calm, then he can just go away, be angry, and come back to me, knowing that I'm unchangeable, if that makes sense. Like we've come from we've lived in a very emotionally unstable household where we were walking on eggshells. So I need to now be that stillness for him going forward, like so that he knows, like whatever happens, that like this is I'm more unchangeable. I'm not like an anxiety-ridden mess, basically. I mean, so thank you. Sorry.
That's why I love the Gohonzon, yeah? So like whatever's happening in my life, when I open up this Gohonzon, it's like this, it's still. Whether there's war going on, I've just been kicked out or whatever it's the stillness. And your son will find that stillness with you. Your son is you. Literally, your son is you. And the more you're changing, the more it gives him space to change as well and to feel safe in that change.
I hope so, yeah. Thank you.
And also, I'm here to support you, all of you, moving forward after this, you know. Like, even if you want to chant with me for an hour, you know, I chant like 3 hours a day, so we can do that. Even if I'm just on Zoom or on a call. Yeah. That would be useful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Of course. Heidi, sister, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. And well done, Layla, for coming on screen, because I know how hard it is to talk on screen when, you're not so confident, because my sister passed away 9 years ago, and she was the really confident one. I was the shy one that wouldn't say boo to a goose. And then when she passed away, I knew I needed to become more like her, which is why I've kind of stepped out of my comfort zone and joined things like this, come on Zoom. But I'm actually like a life coach now myself. But what I wanted to say was, when she passed away, that's what got me into Buddhism in the beginning, and then I lost it. So thank you for bringing me back to Buddhism. Because when she passed away, I just felt like there has to be more out there. She can't have just gone. She can't have just gone. So I was kind of like looking into it, and apparently the human eye can only see 0.05% of what's reality.
Exactly.
We can't see internet, we can't see Bluetooth, so what else can we not see? So more than likely she sat next to me saying, shut the fuck up, no one wants to hear. So this kind of part of the book really did resonate, and there has to be more, and there is more. I feel like she's the one that's guided me on this 9 years to now become who I am now. It's been with her help and her support, because I probably wouldn't have done half the things if she hadn't, I wouldn't have done any of it if she hadn't died. So through her losing her life, it kind of gave me mine. Which is a bit of a self-conscious thing to say as I say it out loud, I know, but through her dying, it kind of made my life a 360 a lot better, whole 360 better. So there is more out there. She is still here.
When someone passes away, especially when it's someone close like a sister or a brother, people normally don't know what to say. When someone like I always say, you need to be the successor. Boldly, you need to win for them. Everything that they taught you, everything that they were, you better step up and be that for them, because you're now the representation of them in this realm, and to succeed and to be happy for them. So what was her name, Heidi? I'd love to have her in my prayers.
Her name was Hazel. It's Hazel, but it also, from doing that though, and me living my best life, it's made me lose her children. So her children now don't talk to me or my mum, because we've not moved on from her, but we have to get on with our life, and it's made us want to live our life to the fullest, because you realize how fragile you see the fragility of life.
Wow.
I suppose they see us living a life and traveling and doing some amazing things, but I'm only doing that because I now have the inner confidence that I feel she's passed to me. So we haven't spoken to them for 5 years, which is really sad. But I think they need Buddhism, because they're stuck in this kind of victim world, which quite rightly so, they've lost their mum, but they need to see it in, there's no positive way for them, but I don't know how to explain it.
Death is so inevitable, that I realized from young, death is so inevitable that my mum will die, and I don't want to be the person that becomes a victim when that happens, because does that mean we all become victims as soon as something like that happens? Like, we have to find something which gives us the courage to move forward and to know that their life is eternal. And do you ever feel like there's signs from her? Do you feel like she's communicating to you in a different realm? Like, does that ever happen to you, Heidi?
Right, so I don't know if anyone else had this, but you were just really cutting up badly then. I I heard what you said, but you were really cutting up badly then. Did everyone else have that at your end?
No.
Did anyone else cut up? Right, so that's how I know she communicates. She communicates with me through technology. And the whole way through you just saying that last sentence, you were breaking up like your internet was gone.
I mean,
so I know
no
she's
more.
here.
Say no more. Wow.
I know.
Wow.
So it's really weird that you asked that question just after I'm like, his internet's going. What's the matter?
I'm sure she's
here.
I'm sure she's been guiding you, Heidi. And to be honest, like, you know, seeing some of your content online, I would never have known that you was the shy one. Yeah, you just you're brimming with vibrant energy. So she, you know, how much value you took from that death. Isn't that beautiful? There's nothing sad from that. You've took so much value from that death.
I couldn't even say hello to family members. My mum would say to me, "Don't be so rude. Someone's just said hello to you," and I just couldn't even open my mouth.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
What was it? Sorry, what was her name again? Let me write it quickly.
Hazel.
Hazel. Is that Hazel?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Wow. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Just
thank
you. Thank you for that share so much, like, from my soul. Because for me, it shows me. Even that, like, Hazel's in the room, people. Hazel's on Zoom with us, bro. Like, it's insane, and it just strengthens my faith even more. Okay, beautiful, incredible. Right, let's do the very last chapter, man. Let's round this off together. By the way, quickly, just to say, I've got someone on Instagram who's let me just read this quickly because he's my fucking bro. He said, "My bro, you helped my mum passing. Imagine." I can't remember the exact story, but basically, around his passing, when his mum passed, he just bumped into me and he was chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo by the side of her bed. And I don't want to speak on what happened, but anyway, it's just, he said, "We are the ones who are changing our ancestors." Wow, beautiful. Anyway, cool. Let's do this last chapter, guys. So, finally, chapter 8, putting it all into practice. Man, these two first quotes are emotional for me, for real. Yeah, so simple. So it says, "It is never too late to be what you might have become." Ooh, that's from George Eliot. It is never too late to be what you might have become. Tina Turner didn't start her career truly until she was like 40 or something like that. Yeah, or 50 even, I believe. Yeah, whatever you think about Tina Turner, like you can literally achieve your dream at any point. Never let age or anything that stop you, man. You know, it is never too late to be what you might have become. And then the next quote: "You are all the Buddha," said to be the last words of Shakyamuni Buddha. How special is that? You are all the Buddha. Okay, cool. So, last chapter. Over the course of this book, we've discussed how the key to surmounting life's hurdles and achieving its goals lies within each of us, the Buddha in our respective mirrors. We've examined the interconnection between ourselves and others, and between our lives and our respective environment. We've been exploring how to face death in a fresh, encouraging way. The crucial step now is putting into practice what we've learned, making the thrilling leap from the mere holding of knowledge to the actualization of our vast potential. As we've said, Buddhism is reason. And what's more reasonable than being asked to put stock in something only after we have received proof of its effectiveness? The primary practice, as we have explained throughout this book, is to chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. The mechanics of chanting. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo can be chanted anywhere at any time, preferably in a manner that won't disturb others, but the effects of practice are best seen when carried out on a regular basis. We suggest setting aside a bit of time each morning and evening for, say, at least 5 minutes each session. So that's about 10 minutes a day, but for you guys, yeah, I must definitely say 10 minutes morning and evening, making it 20 minimum. That's my humble for you guys. So at least 5 minutes each session. Sit straight and comfortably, and if possible, face a blank portion of the wall or some neutral background that won't distract you. Or I used to chant to a candle for the first year before I got my Gohonzon. I just like the stillness of a candle. Place your palms together at chest level, fingers pointing upwards with the tips just above the level of your chin. Yeah, and you can do it anyway. Sometimes I chant like this, sometimes I chant whatever, but that's a basic, powerful prayer, yogic position fundamentally. So, as to the pronunciation, Nam, the A has the sound of the A in a father. Myo, think of it as placing an M before one half of yo-yo. Ho, like the garden implement hoe. Ren like the bird wren. Gi sounds like the word get without the T. Kyo, similar to myo. Each syllable gets one equal stress or beat. Nam myo ho renge kyo. Let's move that here. A second. To chant repeats without a break between each Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Feel free, of course, to breathe whenever necessary, then go back to your rhythmic chant. Try to maintain an even tone and rhythm, but don't be overly concerned about it, as you will settle into a natural rhythm in a short time. You can either focus on a specific goal or problem, or you can let your mind naturally coast from thought to thought. You will soon see some tangible results. Again, this is not to say that you must have conviction that this will happen from the very start. It is only natural to have doubt. Confidence in Buddhist practice begins with your very first attempt to say, try it and see. And it deepens over time as you gain continual actual proof. Yet, doubt is an element with which practitioners must always contend. As the German author Hermé Hesse says, faith and doubt correspond to each other and supplement each other. There is no true faith where there is no doubt. The essential thing, however, is to use your doubts as fuel to find the answers to your questions. Practically speaking, it helps if you can bolster your practice by relating to like-minded others who can encourage you through life's inevitable rough spots, and whom you can encourage in turn based on your own emerging experiences. As this book has pointed out, we don't live in a vacuum, and our efforts to help each other become happy, directed, enhance our own level of happiness. If you'd like to take things a step, or 37 further, there is a vast community of Nichiren Buddhists to assist you in your great experiment. So this part here is going to talk about SGI USA, and then I'll talk about SGI UK after. But it says, the SGI USA holds discussion meetings and cultural activities in all 50 states, as well as throughout the Caribbean and Guam and other Pacific islands. Most meetings are informal and held in practitioners' homes. Through the community of fellow Buddhists, you can take the next step of learning about the supplementary practice, the twice daily recitation of portions of 2 chapters of the Lotus Sutra, which bolsters one's daily chanting of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. This aspect of practice requires some tricky pronunciations, and an experienced guide can be invaluable, and I can be that guide for you. You can also receive the Gohonzon, as we know, or the object of devotion to chant to focus on while you chant. The Gohonzon enables you to fuse your subjective wisdom with the objective reality of the universe. See chapter 3 for a detailed explanation. Having a Buddhist friend to guide you along the way is exceedingly helpful in maintaining your practice, and the SGI USA provides a structure for making just such a friend, or many. In fact, throughout the umbrella organization, SGI, you can find friends and activities, some 12 million practitioners in more than 160 nations. It's now actually 192 nations throughout the world. For information about meetings and activities in your area, you can call the SGI USA headquarters in Santa Monica, California, or visit its website, www.sgi-usa.org. At the beginning of this book, we spoke of each individual's limitless potential for wisdom, courage, hope, confidence and compassion, vitality and endurance. The adventure begins the very first time you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and introduce yourself to the Buddha in your mirror. Wow. So, last thing I want to show you is, if anyone does want to, this site right here is the UK site, yeah? sgi-uk.org. And this page here, if you can see it here, it says local community. All you got to do is you just enter your postcode here, and then within a few days, someone like me, who would be a young woman or young man or whatever leader, will contact you, and there will be someone. I emailed them, they never came back to me. Kate, when did you email them? Email them again, Kate. Just do it again.
I emailed them, I think when we first started doing this. I emailed them. They did send me something back saying that someone locally would come back to me, but I've never heard again since.
Okay, do you know what? I'm gonna say straight away, that's some Sancho Shima. Something stopping you. Try again. Just try again. And if it doesn't, get on me, and I'll call the Blood Clot General Director myself. So it's all good. You're gonna get supported. Yeah, it might just be that it's like we was doing it towards the end of the year and stuff. They have a UK phone number to ring. Sue said that, Heidi. Incredible. But yeah, so like if you, yeah, definitely. And also, let me just say this to you, yeah. Very strict, because I love to introduce people to Buddhism and to the SGI, but sometimes I do it and then people will join their district and they're like, what? This guy's nothing like Indigo. This ain't nothing like Indigo talking. Remember this, always. We follow the law, not the people. We follow the blood clot law. Yeah? You're going to find racism. You're going to find you're going to find bigots. You're going to find misogyny. You're going to find that in your districts. Why? Because the SGI is a microcosm of the world, which is a macrocosm. So I must warn you, because you're coming through my channel. Yeah, you might go in there and like there's people that I try and go into SGI meetings and not talk about like vaccines or Israel or like all of these highly charged political things, because people might have different opinions. I try and go there and just focus on the law. Yeah, and you will find people that will resonate strong with you. I've been doing this 10 years and I've got so many different side groups of my own where I kind of can chant with people that I see myself in. But at the same time, wherever your district is, there's a mission there for you. So, you know, for like the first 5 years, I would be going to a district. These people were nothing like me. And I knew I had to be the one that represented my kind of people. I had to be the one that represented my truth. You know, don't go into SGI meetings blowing up and talking about mad political things, because it'll just like, unless you've got a strict practice like me, you might just be like, oh, I don't want to do this. But also know, all of you on this call, Clea, Heidi, Kate, Charlene, Layla, Mark, and everyone on Instagram, I'm now your SGI plug, bruv. Like, I will be here to chant with you if you ever want to just connect. You should all try and maybe connect with each other, or just send me a message and I can make sure you can connect. Like, I feel like Kate and Layla have a lot to speak about potentially. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, practice with the indigo spirit when you step into the SGI. If you do go further, you can definitely practice by yourself, and if you just start practicing Buddhism and you take Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and you put it in your toolbox and you never join the SGI, I've done my job, 100%. But if someone does want to take a step further, they want to be supported by the local women. Like Layla, it would be amazing if local women around you were coming and just supporting you, coming to meet your son, coming to just eat with you and chant with you and pray with you. You know, that could be amazing. But don't get me wrong, I don't know who that lady might be. You might get some kooky person come along, yeah, and but there will be, fundamentally, there will be beautiful people. But why? I just wanted to say this: we follow the law, not the people, because they might not have the same ideas as you. These are just ordinary people, yeah. I'll give you one example. One of my closest friends, she was an SGI member. She joined the same year I did, and then she joined a call where. So Orlando Bloom is one of the most famous SGI members on the planet, by the way. He was married to Kate, that Satanist, Katy Perry. He asked SGI members in the UK to chant for his dying dog. Yeah. My friend left the SGI. She was like, I've got serious problems. There's no safeguarding in schools. There's rape happening on the streets. There's like black on black crime. And you're asking us to chant for this man's dog, who's a multi-millionaire. And why can't he chant for it himself? And I had to really encourage her. I was like, sister, Orlando Bloom and his dog has nothing to do with Nichiren Daishonin, the Gohonzon, and your connection with Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I'm not saying we shouldn't chant for people's dogs. I'm not saying that. But we just have to remember the people, we're all just doing this together. Have your own strong connection with the law. Make sure it is so strong, because otherwise you will get battered by other people's other opinions. I would have had to have left the SGI a long time ago if I was weak. Trust me. The amount that I've gone into Brixton Centre and dropped bombs on people about stuff and like, they can't take it. But I've always done it with respect, wisdom, and knowing that my voice has value. I've stood in front of Robert Harrop, the general director, and tell him things just as if he was the cleaner. I don't act no different around no one. And a true leader of the SGI, like Robert Harrop, Justine Marchant, they will never allow you to think that they're higher than them. Because they're not. They are only playing out a role because that's their specific job right now. Okay, let me have a quick look at these last comments, and then I will love you and leave you all, man. Yeah, definitely, Kate, yeah. Email them again, and if they don't, message me privately, man. But you know I've got you. Heidi, connect with me on Instagram. Okay, perfect. All right, family. Man, we did it. January the 10th. I'm going to miss you all, but we've all now created a Sangha, and I'm here to support you. Charlene, to have you at the very last one means a lot, man. I just got a message from Tim. He told me that he was connecting to you, and I was like, who are you talking about, Tim? And then I suddenly realized, I was like, fuck, man, Tim's amazing. If you can, like, he's a real Buddha as well, yeah? I was living in a trap house in Leeds, and all the Buddhists were too scared to come and support me. He came And my life was at danger. I had these Albanians wanted to cut off my hand. Nothing to do with me. The landlord owed money, and I just happened to move into this house. And then the Albanians took me as the tenant and said, I'm going to chop off your hand unless your landlord pays 50 grand. And I told Tim, and I said, Tim, your life might be in danger if you come and chant with me. And he came straight on his knees next to me and chanted with me. So he's a lion and a king of Leeds. But yeah, I love you all. Nam myoho renge kyo. Let's chant 3 times together before we go. And one thing I'll say as well, SGI UK site, please make the effort, buy some beads for yourself. These beads, yeah, 108 beads. Yes, Charlene, these beads represent our life, yeah. 2 legs, the head and the arms, yeah, and we cross them. The reason we hold beads, they're not magical, just like the Gohonzon isn't magic, but it's a symbolic thing. My life is in my hands. Every part, all my pain, all my joy, all of it is in my hands. It's not in the priest's hands. It's not in Jesus's hands. It's not in some deity's hands. It's all me. It's all me. Yeah, very symbolic. So when I'm chanting, I'm holding my beads. I love you all. Yeah, because you're all reflections of me. Let's chant one more time. Nam myoho renge kyo. Nam myoho renge kyo. Nam myoho renge kyo. I love you. I love you. I love you. Clea, Kate, Layla, Mark, Charlene, Heidi. I fucking love you. Yeah, we're gonna make this. We're gonna win. It's gonna be a hard year, but now we've got one of the toughest tools. Yeah, drop the anxiety. Trust your life. Know that no black ice and cars are going to smash into you. And if it does, we're going to be protected, yeah? I love you. Nam myoho renge kyo. And spread this. If anyone's interested in Buddhism, please send this playlist to them, yeah? Let them know. And I'm here for you all. You're all my brothers and sisters now, yeah? Nam myoho renge kyo.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.